Polaris and its dealers care about your safety. This video contains important information to help you have a fun, safe time on the water. Polaris requires that all watercraft purchasers receive safety training from the dealership that sold the watercraft. If you refuse to accept this training, this will void the manufacturer's warranty. For every way to get to work, there are 10 ways to escape. Squeezing the throttle on a Polaris watercraft is one of the best ways to get out. But to make the most of the getaway, you have to put safety first. Viewing this video is a good way to start, but it's only a start. You also need to read and understand your watercraft owner's manual and labels. They'll help you get to know your watercraft, its performance capabilities, and your responsibilities as a watercraft rider. Remember to keep this tape so you can review it at the beginning of every new season. And make sure anyone else who might be using your watercraft views it as well. Your personal safety and the safety of others depends on you understanding the information that follows. It's important to keep in mind that personal watercraft are not toys. They are boats, subject to the same rules and regulations as all other boats on the water. They must be registered in the owner's location and display a unique alphanumeric identification number, typically on the forward top half of each side of the watercraft. Different states or regions have different minimum age requirements to operate personal watercraft. You may be required to complete a boating safety course or take a license exam. Check with your local officials to find out the requirements in your area. Polaris recommends that watercraft not be operated by anyone under 16 years old. Finally, each watercraft is rated for a maximum rider capacity. Be sure you know what your model is rated for and never exceed the maximum number of riders or total weight limits. If you exceed those limits, it reduces stability and control and could result in accidents. Normal swimwear does not adequately protect you when riding jet-powered watercraft. To prevent injury, you must wear a neoprene wetsuit bottom or equivalent protection that prevents water from being forced into your body. You must also wear footwear and gloves to keep a sure grip on the machine, as well as adequate eye protection from harmful sun and flying objects. Finally, all operators and passengers are required to wear a Coast Guard-approved personal flotation device, or PFD. It must be one that is suitable for watercraft use. Your Polaris dealer offers a complete line of coordinated wetwear, boots, gloves, and PFDs. Stop in and get equipped before you ride. There are certain things you should do before every ride on your Polaris watercraft. Always review the safety precautions in each safety label, and make sure any new riders read and understand the labels and all safety precautions in the owner's manual. Inspect the steering, the throttle, and the engine shutoff switch to make sure they're working properly. Check your fuel level and your oil level. If you need oil, use recommended Polaris oil, engineered for your watercraft. Always use caution when refueling. Gasoline and its vapors are highly flammable and explosive. Consult your owner's manual and gasoline safety label for proper refueling procedures. Be sure you have an approved fire extinguisher on board. Check to make sure it's fully charged and securely stored. Be sure your battery and hose connections are secure. Check to see that all drain plugs are secure. Check the outside of the hull for damage. See if you notice any oil or fuel leaks. They may appear as rainbow colors on the water's surface. With the engine off, check to make sure your jet pump and intake grate are free of debris. Never inspect these areas with the engine running. Before you board, bounce the craft several times to clear any sand that may have found its way into the jet pump. Before starting the engine, be sure you are in a minimum of 2 feet of water and that the area is free of weeds or debris. Small rocks and other objects can be sucked up in shallow water and damage the pump. Before you leave the safety of shore, check the weather. Make sure it's safe to go out in current weather and riding conditions, and check forecasts for upcoming weather as well. Finally, check your condition before heading out. Never ride under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Also, don't ride if you are tired or sick. Before starting your machine, attach the lanyard cord to your left wrist or clip it to your PFD and attach it to the emergency stop switch on the left-hand control. Always keep it hanging away from the handlebar. After riding, remove the lanyard from the emergency stop switch to prevent the watercraft from being used by unauthorized persons. Be sure you know the location of the intake grate and stay clear of it while the engine is on. Long hair, loose clothing, or PFD straps can be sucked in and can cause severe injury or drowning. Push the start button only when you've confirmed that you are in at least 2 feet of water, you have room to move forward, and no person is near the rear of the machine. Water and other objects come out of the pump with significant force and can cause severe injury. Go slow at first, check the handling, and get the feel of the machine before picking up speed. When you ride a watercraft, you're a part of a larger boating community. You personally represent the sport to others on the water and on the shore. Be courteous and drive defensively. Go out of your way to minimize your impact on others and the environment. Watercraft have no brakes, and because they steer by using thrust and turning the jet nozzle, they will not steer at all without using the throttle. Never completely release the throttle when steering, even in an emergency. It will cause loss of control. It's essential to think ahead when riding a watercraft. Plan your course in advance. Anticipate where to make your turns and your maneuvers, and scan constantly for people, objects, and other watercraft. Don't follow directly behind other watercraft or boats. Ride in a staggered configuration. Keep to the right or starboard of oncoming boats. Watch for situations that limit how well you can see and how well others can see you. Navigational rules state that you must yield to craft approaching from your right. They have the right-of-way. Maintain safe distances between your craft and other people, objects, or vessels. Avoid fishermen, swimmers, and anchored boats. Some areas have regulations specifically governing a watercraft's distance from other vessels and objects. Comply with waterway signs like no wake zones. Slow down in congested areas and always stay within channel markers. Watch for and stay clear of protected areas, swimming areas, wildlife habitats, approaches to dams, and any other areas that are off limits. Avoid areas with floating or submerged objects, sandbars, rocks, and shallow water. Avoid aggressive maneuvers. It limits other boaters' abilities to avoid you and to know where you are going. Don't splash others with spray from your boat. Turning sharply and wave or wake jumping increases the risk of severe injury due to loss of control, collision, or ejection from the watercraft. In the unlikely event that your watercraft should turn over, right the craft from the rear by turning it clockwise in accordance with the instructions on the decal. This minimizes water in the craft's engine. Always empty the bilge before restarting the boat. When stopping, leave yourself plenty of room to coast to a safe stop. Remember, personal watercraft, like other boats, do not have brakes. Keep in mind that personal watercraft will not steer at all if the throttle is killed. Since watercraft have no headlights, they are not allowed out at night. The general rule is go out at least a half hour after sunrise and come in at least a half hour before sunset. Restrictions on hours of use vary widely, so consult your local laws to be sure. Finally, before allowing anyone to take control of your watercraft, they must be familiar with the laws, operations, and safety procedures for watercraft. Be sure the new driver reviews the warning labels. After returning from your ride, there are some quick shoreline maintenance procedures you can do to preserve the mechanical integrity and the looks of your boat. Purge water from the exhaust system by revving the engine at partial throttle for about 10 seconds until water stops coming out. Shut off the engine, remove the drain plug, and drain water from the hull. Rinse the hull and drive unit with fresh water. Rinse the engine compartment with fresh water too. Wipe it out and replace the seat. Replace the drain plug. If you ride in salt water or plan on storing your watercraft for a long time, fog the engine with Polaris fogging oil. Detailed instructions on this and other storage and periodic maintenance procedures are in your owner's manual. One final thought on safety. No amount of studying safety procedures can make up for experience. Even when you know the rules, ride within your limits. The way to get the most fun out of a watercraft for years to come is to give yourself time to develop safe riding skills. The more experience you gain, the safer you ride, and the better it feels to leave the rest of the world behind.